Hello and welcome. Today we're going to teach you how to play Flesh and Blood and show you some of the fundamentals with some gameplay.
Today we have a very special guest, Pleasant Kenobi, Vince, who will be teaching us how to play Flesh and Blood and give us a real kind of first look at the card game itself. So welcome.
Hello, I'm super excited. Flesh and Blood is wicked. It is a card game that is a 1v1 battle scenario where you take a hero and you clash with another hero, similar to Soul Calibur in many ways I often describe it, or a 1v1 in the top lane of League of Legends. What I really love about Flesh and Blood is that all the cards have multiple modes and they interact with the game in multiple ways. So you've always got a lot of decisions to make, you've got a lot of agency. It's also primarily based upon playing in the Flesh and Blood, hence the name. Paper play is the focus, the sole focus of the company making it. And I don't know about you, but I generally love playing cards in paper. So with that out of the way, let's learn how to play some Flesh and Blood. So this is a board for Flesh and Blood. Okay. We have our setups. We're playing Ira versus Ira today. If people
match, let's go.
Yeah, it is a mirror match. It's not too exciting, but to be honest, that's not the point of this, is to learn how to play Flesh and Blood. So let's begin with Ira. So Ira is a hero. You begin each game of Flesh and Blood with a hero in play that you have picked and built your deck around. They have a type and subtypes too that other heroes also have and share cards between. These range from ninjas to wizards, warriors to brutes, that sort of thing. There's two relevant bits of stats on them, and they can have an ability in their text box as well, a passive that was always an effect or an activated one as well. The bottom left hand corner is called Intellect. This is how many cards you will draw up to at the end of your turn, and the other corner is your life total. It's normally a lower total for a young hero in the smaller Blitz version of the game, or a higher number for Classic Constructor where you're playing a 60 card deck. Ira is a ninja, which means all the cards in her deck have to be generic or ninja. Again, think of that like colors in Magic.
Kind of like a class or something like that as well.
Yeah. So we then have our weapon. So heroes, when you set them up, you get to choose a weapon to have out of your card collection. Okay. They can be one-handed or two-handed. If they're one-handed, you can carry two. In this case, both of us are playing a two-handed ninja weapon, the Edge of Autumn. It's a sword.
So we only get to use the one.
Yes, because it's two-handed, you can't have two two-handed. Exactly. And then the other thing that starts in play is this stuff, equipment.
This is almost starting to feel a bit more like paper D&D than Magic is. Okay, cool.
Today, though, we're a bit naked.
We've got boots on, very strange for iron rot legs, very strange to wear iron boots for a ninja.
So you've got your big clunky boots on and nothing else, and I'm wearing one singular piece of BDSM gear, which is hardened cross strap. We're not going to go too much into what exactly they do, but the point is you get a head slot, a chest slot, an arm slot, a leg slot, and they give you lots of utility or extra ways to play the game, and they can really help you to have different strategies when you play.
Well, you know what they say, the boots stay on, so.
The boots stay on during combat. Right, shall we play?
Yeah.
Once you've set up your hero and your equipment, the game begins. You randomly determine who starts, and both players draw up to the intellect of their hero. And then very importantly, in the first turn, you're both going to draw up to your intellect number at the end of turn. So you can use up as much resources as you want, because you're going to refill your hand anyway. Every turn, you start with an action point. So in this case, I'm going to use my action point once per turn to create a new link in the combat chain. That's a lot of words there, I'll explain as we go. So I've created a link where I do an action. I attack you with the Edge of Autumn. It does cost one red circle, which is one energy, or mana, or memory if you play Digimon. Flesh and Blood cards look a little bit like this. In one corner we have the pitch value. This is when you would put it into the pitch zone and generate a number of energy equal to the pips shown. This part here shows you how much energy you need to cast the card. This shows you its attack value, and this shows you its defense value. Most Flesh and Blood cards have multiple modes. They can use in multiple ways. They can be pitched for resources, they can attack, they can block, and they'll have other effects too. It gives you a lot of choice when planning out your turn and taking actions in the game. The last bit of the card, which is super important, is this bottom bar here, telling you what the card is. It tells you what decks you can play it in, but it also tells you whether it's an action, reaction, or an instant. So I'm going to pitch, and pitching is how you activate cards. I'm going to pitch Brutal Assault, which gets me 3 energy, and I use 1 to attack you with my Edge of Autumn. At this point, it's over to you to
so
parry.
I have some sort of response, I guess, to parry.
To do a defensive action of some kind.
Okay.
In Flesh and Blood, you begin your turn with 1 action point, which allows you to use 1 action, whether that be on your weapon, in your items, or from a card in your hand. Actions use an action point, reactions do not. You use your action point to attack with attack actions from hand or with your weapon, and then your opponent gets a chance to respond and defend with any number of cards from hand or their equipment, because some of them have defense values too. So in the first turn, you can overload how much resources you use, because both players will draw up to their intellect at end of turn.
Right, okay.
In the subsequent turns, it becomes a bit more tense and a bit more tension, where you don't draw up until the end of your turn. So if you defend with a load of cards, in your turn you're going to have no resources to do anything with. So right now you can go hog wild.
Right then, I guess I will go ahead and block with one of these cards, and I guess I'm going to use the Bittering Thorns to block.
That makes sense. So this card has a 2 defense stat. You put it down to the block, and my Edge of Autumn does not connect. What we just did, an attack and a defense, that is a chain link. And the chain links are separate parts of the combat chain.
Okay, cool.
However, the attack link does resolve, so I get go again.
Okay,
what go again means is I get my action point back, so I get to go again.
Cool.
So with my go again, I'm now going to try and jab you in the head with a head jab. Again, this costs 0, so I've not used any of my energy yet, and this also has go again. So upon resolution, I will get to attack you again.
Well, I don't know. I don't want you to particularly punch me in the head. So I'm probably going to go ahead and block that nice and evenly.
Perfect. Okay. So again, something I should have told you is this attack has an extra +1 for my ninja ability, but you might have spotted it. So I'm coming in for 2, which is 1 plus your ability, and you've blocked it for 2.
Okay, cool.
Perfect. It did not hit. Right, next up, I'm going to pay an energy, going down to 1 energy in my energy pool, if you will. I'm going to hit you with a much bigger attack now. This is 5 damage, and if it hits you, on hit, I get go again, so I can attack you again. I do have another card in hand.
Okay, so that's only if you make contact with me.
So, bearing in mind though, this is the important thing about Flesh and Blood, 5 damage here, this pulls over whatever you block with. Something to bear in mind is that all attacks in Flesh and Blood will spill over your opponent's defense. They have Trample if you've played Magic. They have Overwhelm if you've played Legends of Runeterra. Essentially, if someone blocks a 5 with a 4, you're going to do 1 point of damage.
So that's only if it hits me.
That's only if it hits you. But you do have 2 cards in hand.
Okay, so I can use more than 1 card to block at a time. Okay, well then that
you can block with multiple action cards.
Right, okay, well then I think I'm gonna make you. I've been defending a lot here. Sorry, that's a head job as well. So.
Yeah, so you had 5. Okay, I wasn't expecting you to have 5. Perfect. Okay, so what happens here then? At the end of this, I've done 0 damage to you because you've successfully blocked everything. I've stabbed you with my sword, and then you've used. I actually don't know what that is. You're in a field, and it's not worked because you're in a field of thorns. I don't know.
Open space. I can move around. Yeah.
Exactly. I've head jabbed you, and then you've blocked with some sort of whirling mist blossom sort of technique.
Cool.
And then you, using your head jabs and you're assaulting the wound defensively, you've stopped my torrent of tempo. And we've done no damage. Keep in mind though, you're never ever using an action in your opponent's turn. You're never getting an action point in their turn, and you're never going again in their turn. Instead, you're using reactions and instants. All these get destroyed and go to the graveyard.
Okay.
There's yours, except for the equipment. The equipment goes back to the equipment zone.
Okay, cool. So everything goes back here except for, your item, I guess.
So these go to the graveyard, and then we're going to resolve the end of the turn, because I'm not going to lie, I don't have anything else to do for the turn. Okay. At the end of turn, which you run out of things to do, or you don't have enough action points to use the cards in your hand, you will lose any unused action points. You'll lose any unused energy. At that point, you can put 1 card that is remaining in your hand face down into your arsenal if there's nothing currently in your arsenal. More on that in a moment. And then you put cards from your pitch zone on the bottom of your library. And finally, you draw up to your character's intellect. You draw up to the number in the bottom left-hand corner of your character. So, end of turn, there's some interesting things that happen. First of all, we have an arsenal slot, so this is important. So if you have cards in hand at the end of turn, you can put them in there face down. The arsenal is the interesting part of Flesh and Blood. You have to keep 1 card from your hand and draw up to others. The important thing to remember from the arsenal is that you can only play cards from it. You can't pitch cards from it, and you can't defend with actions from it, but you can play cards. For example, defense reactions. And then we're going to put all cards in the pitch zone, on the bottom of our libraries, and then drop to our character's intellect.
Oh, okay, so the cards you pitch don't actually get used up as resources, only just for that turn where you don't get to use them.
Exactly, and if you get through your deck, you'll know the order of your deck if you're really smart.
Okay, yeah.
Which I'm not.
If you're kind of like a Rayman kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah, if you're card countering, literally. Yeah. So we draw up to our intellect, we both do it now.
To 4, and then...
That's it.
Cool.
And then begins the real game, where you now get to attack me, and I have to be careful with my resources.
Might as well start off with the Edge of Autumn, get in for that
so
one.
Coming at me with a blade.
So I'm going to have to pitch for that, so I guess I'll try and maximize my energy here, and I'm going to pitch this Lunging Press for a turn.
So you generate 3 and spend 1. Playing a Flesh and Blood card has a few intricacies to it. When you play a card, you announce that you're playing it, and then you pitch for the resource. you can't pitch for a 0, but you can for a 1, a 2, a 3, or a larger. And when you pitch, you can overpitch. You can pitch, make 3 energy, pay the 1, and leave 2 in your pool, as it were, for future cards that turn. Importantly, you can also pitch multiple cards in a turn. There are other decks out there where cards cost more than 3 energy. And I'm just going to take the sword to the face.
Okay, so there we go. Sword to the
I'm
face.
into it, BDSM and all that. So I go to 19.
No pain, no gain. Right, so you're on 19. Because that made contact, I actually get to go again, right?
Yeah, so not because it made contact, that would be on hit effect.
Ah, right.
Even if you didn't make contact, you still go again, because it's just part of the resolution.
Okay, so it's just go again no matter what once you do it. Okay, but some cards are only on contact.
Exactly,
right.
on hit.
Okay, cool.
Some attacks will have on-hit effects. In order to trigger and get the effect of the on-hit effect, you must deal some damage to the enemy hero. Not to their equipment, not to their defense cards, not to anything else, but to the hero itself.
I'm going to follow up with this Bittering Thorns.
Oh, so this
that puts me down to 1, so I can read it if you'd like. If Bittering Thorns hits, your next attack this turn gains +1. Remembering that her effect is that second attack each turn gains +1, this is now on 4.
Yeah,
attack,
so it's 3 + 1 for a static ability, and then you'll buff your next attack. So I don't really want that. Okay, I'm going to defensively block with Bittering Thorns. I'm going to use my thorns to block your thorns. Yeah. And so that's going to block 2.
Sure, okay, so that still gets in.
For 2, well,
that's fine, right?
Yeah. So there's another step here. So you attack and I block, and then we both get to do reactions. Okay. So you get an opportunity to do a reaction from a reaction card in hand. If you don't, you pass to me, and I get a chance to do a reaction. So if you're not doing any reactions,
no, I think it's fine. I'm getting through, right?
I'm gonna make it a 4. I'm gonna combine my thorns with a somersault to stop yours. So I'm now blocking 4 with 4.
Okay. So that won't make contact unless I have something.
Yes, you get to go reaction again. We have to go back and forth. Do you have a reaction? You didn't before. So how much extra is that?
+1, so we're back to square 1 on this one.
So I'm going to hit for 1, and your next attack is going to be more, and you do have a card in hand, and you're on 1 energy.
Yeah, 1 energy, sorry.
So I'm expecting another attack. So I'm going to surprise you with another springboard somersault. And to explain for people at home as well, these cost 0. So although there are cards you have to play, they don't cost anything. So you've gone in with 1 on reaction, and this one is 2, but it has a from Arsenal effect of +2. So I'm now blocking for 2, 2, and 4. I'm blocking for 8 now.
Yeah, I'm not getting.
It's a big old block, but I don't mind.
So what you're saying is you counter me with my own attack and then do a double backflip out of the way. That's kind of
exactly
funny.
that. Yeah, I am the better ninja.
I cannot compete with that. Yeah, I think that's where that's going to end. I don't have any reaction to that.
Importantly though, you still have go again because that wasn't part of the
it's not contact.
So do you have any other actions?
So if I only draw cards at the end of my turn, if I now try to bait out more of your resources, right? Okay.
Because I've got 2 cards left for my turn.
Okay. I'm gonna play Salt the Wound. So Salt the Wound doesn't cost any.
No, it's free.
Energy,
it's
so cool.
free.
And it gets +1 attack for each attack that has hit this combat chain, which I think is just Edge of Autumn.
Just the one, yeah, because the one that hit.
But that makes that 3, so I'd be getting in for 3.
I am not going to spend any more resources because I can't really afford to. I don't want to turn doing nothing. So I'm going to take another 3 and go to from 19 down to 16 because I'm good at maths. The English are very good at maths.
We can count.
Cool, so we now resolve the chain. We collapse the chain. So these things are going to go to the bin?
Yes, sure. So these all go to the graveyard?
The graveyard. I'm calling it the bin, but...
except for the weapon, right?
Correct, that's
it. And then lunging press goes on the
So we get rid of all energy, we get rid of any spare action points, you put all pitch cards at the bottom, and you drop to your intellect.
Okay, cool. So I dropped my intellect. In this case is 4. So in this case, I didn't have an action point left over, because this didn't have a go again.
So sometimes you'll have cards that will create, they'll say go again on them, and you can give them an extra instance of go again with equipment, or another instant and similar stuff like that. So you can accrue multiple instances of go again, but if you don't use them, they'll just go away.
Okay, so by the end of the turn, you lose all of those action points.
There's not really any resources bar counters on things that stick around, so it all goes away. Similar to mana in Magic.
Sure,
We hope you found that informative and useful. Hopefully it helps you start out on your journey in Flesh and Blood. If you look to pick up singles or sealed product, Cardmarket now stocks Flesh and Blood. There'll be a link in the description below.
So Cardmarket selling Flesh and Blood products is a really, really big deal. And if you guys are looking for more Flesh and Blood content, if you really, really like the gameplay and the style of gameplay, and you want us to make more of this content for Flesh and Blood, please engage with us as much as you can below, and then we'll know that there's an incentive there to kind of make more stuff that you guys can watch. So thank you all for coming and watching, and I hope to see you again soon.